Hey everybody, let's talk pork butt. Now, right here in front of us, we've got four 10 to 12 pound pork butts. The butcher did a really good job about getting them just an even set because it makes a big difference when I put them in the smoker. I don't have one real heavy and one real light. They get done at the same time. For my pork butts, I like to brine them. I brine my pork butts in a salt and sugar solution. What I typically do, a rule of thumb for me, is I got a 10-pound butt. I figure 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of salt per pork butt. So in this container, I've got about 8 quarts of water, and I've got 2 cups of salt, 2 cups of sugar that we've heated up and dissolved equally in the liquid. All we want to do is put this in. Now you want to make sure that this is cool, that it's very, very cool. You don't want any hot liquid in your brine at all. To that, we're going to stick our pork butt in there. Now I don't do anything to this. I don't poke any holes in it. I don't do anything like that. I just try to get it off in there. This is bone-in pork butts, folks. You're going to want that to be fully submerged. Now, we're going to do the same thing over here, and I'm going to repeat myself in case we didn't hear it all the first time. I brine these butts in a mixture of salt and sugar. 1 cup of salt and 1 cup of sugar per each 10-pound pork butt. So in here, there's 2 cups of salt and 2 cups of sugar that I heated up in some water to get it good and dissolved, and then I'll let it come to room temperature. Now, I'm going to do this overnight for about 12 hours. I like to do them for around 12 to 18 hours. These are going to be about 12. I'll get this in here without sloshing it out over ourselves. And we want to make sure that we've got plenty of water covering our pork butt. Now, pork butt's going to float up a little bit at first. You can stick something in there if you want to hold it down, but trust me, it'll go down after it's in the water for a little bit of time. And then we want to just seal up the container. Now, if you don't have these restaurant-style containers for doing this, you can use a pot. Just get a big stew pot. Most people ain't doing 4 of these at one time. You're doing 1. You can just put it in a big bean pot and do the same mixture. To me, the salt and the sugar does a couple different things. The salt just helps flavor the meat in general. And the sugar, and y'all are going to argue with me when I say this, as typically do, I think the sugar helps in a certain way of adding a sweetness to the meat that you don't really taste it, but it helps the meat and the texture of the meat and the way it pulls when it comes apart. I've cooked these without brining them, and sometimes they'll be a little harder to pull than they will if you do brine them. Again, brine these for about 12 hours. Don't do this real long. I don't brine any food more than 24 hours. To me, the meat gets mushy. You lose the texture of your meat, and we go that way. So we got 40 to 44 pounds of pork butts to do for you tomorrow on the smoker. One of the key things, as we talked about in other videos, and I harp on a lot of times, is wood. Folks, just make sure you use a good quality wood when you do this. The wood of my preference is oak. I love oak. To me, oak is the best smoking wood for me and my flavor profile that goes in there, because oak does flavor the meat. Hey, we got our pork butts out of the brine, dried off just a little bit with a towel. Cut them come up to room temperature. We got a brisket set aside out here we're going to do along with it. We hate wasting our fire. We want to make sure we get the full benefit out of that. We're working on getting a good bed of coals. I'm going to cover this up, let it come up to room temperature. They were fairly cold. Well, we're on the pit. We're coming along pretty good. Folks, got some good oak, getting us a little smoke. I'm going to watch this periodically. We're looking for this good golden color. We got some glare on the screen, but
We're looking for this real golden color that we get from the meat. And your meat talks to you, believe it or not. You have to understand the language of the food. But we love the color of this. It's looking good. We're going to cook this for a few more hours yet. All right, we got this pulled off, and in a restaurant pan, we got 4 pork butts. They started out with about 12 pounds. They probably shrank down to 9 or so. We got these cooling to room temperature. They're very difficult to pull when they're really hot. They need to cool down somewhat. And it's always good, you know you've done a good job when your bone comes out clean.